Welcome to Life Planning 101, brought to you by Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services in Eastland, Texas. Tune in every week as we share important information to help you and your family live life on purpose. Insurance, investments, legacy and tax planning, and much more. All covered now on Life Planning 101.
Welcome to Life Planning 101. My name is Angela Robinson with Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services right here in the great town of Eastland, Texas. And if you don't know anything about us, make sure you go to our website, www.kennedy-financial.com, to find out more. We are a firm that helps people live life on purpose. That is what we're all about. Yes, we do manage wealth. Yes, we do help people in every aspect financially, but if you get the cart before the horse, it doesn't go very well. And the cart is the fact of the finances. The horse is you and your life and what it means for you to live life on purpose. And if you're not putting that horse before the cart, what's the point anyway? So today on Life Planning 101, why do we call it life planning? Well, you're about to get a dose of it. We're going to stress you out beyond belief, and then we're going to help you find peace. Yes, I am joking a little bit, but that is what we're going to be talking about, is finding peace in turbulent times. So the quote, "May you live in interesting times." Did you know, I did not know this, did you know that that is actually a translation of a Chinese curse? Yes, so, it's kind of a play on words, because if you think about interesting times are anything. They could be anything. That expression is used a whole lot, but usually not to describe something peaceful in nature or something that brings peace to your mind and your state. And there is no doubt that if you look at our world today, we can sit here and just brainstorm forever. To say that we live in interesting times, I don't know if there's an understatement for that, but really there should be, right? So we have a war. Literally a war going on right now. And there is a fear of escalation, and it's a real fear. We have artificial intelligence that is live and active through chatbots. We all knew the day was coming with Jetsons, and I guess we are here, right? My son is going to a robot club every week, and I told him he needs to build me Rosie. I certainly need her. It would be great, but we're here, and that brings in its own question or questions, and what this means, for us personally, what this means for our society, and that's just a piece of the technology that is changing at such a rapid pace. It's hard to keep up with it. It's hard to know what to use, what protects you, what is harming you or could endanger you in your lives. We're hearing all kinds of stuff, especially with TikTok now. That is a lot of chaos. And then, and if we want to talk about chaos, why don't we just talk about politics? Nope, I'm not going there. Okay. So I don't even have to say any more, right? We have such a political divide in our country, much less the world right now. It's just crazy. And then there's this looming financial uncertainty that's been recently accelerated with, the risk of going on with banks right now and what's being talked about. And we've got high inflation rates, and there are some layoffs occurring, and, people are getting nervous about things. Things are tight financially for families, and they may be tight for you. And the list goes on. And we didn't even touch on what's going on in your life personally that might describe interesting times. It is no doubt that it is easy to get distracted with these times we live in. It is easy to be worried about these times we live in. It is easy to have stress and spend hours upon hours going down rabbit holes to only discover why you should even be more worried and why you should be even more stressed about something you can't control, such as an AI chatbot, right? Or the Ukrainian war. Absolutely. These are all things in there, and they're relevant. They're real. I don't want to underestimate the fact that they exist, right? But I want to read you something. So there's this great article I was reading, and it was out of this, it's called theconversation.com, and it's called Stressed Out by Shutdown. and chaos and 4 evidence-based tools to help you cope with it. And I want to read like this little excerpt out of here. It says, when the brain is under stress, it activates circuits that trigger fight or flight response. These circuits reside in the emotional brain or unconscious mind and are activated without our permission. They charge up drives to repeat old responses that can trigger a spiraling down to dysfunction, or they could trigger a spiraling up to equanimity, love, and purposeful action. Brain-based stress management involves strengthening the dominance of the wires that promote healthy coping so the brain becomes wired to favor spiraling up. I want to continue reading here. Rapid fire change during periods of extreme uncertainty. Think about that. Rapid fire change during periods of extreme uncertainty. I want you to think back over these last specifically 3 years since the COVID shutdown. Lots of rapid fire change, lots of extreme uncertainty. So, rapid fire change during periods of extreme uncertainty causes strong emotions to kick in. In a period of extreme and prolonged stress, the brain's set point, its default stress level, declines. Stress becomes chronic and unrelenting. If our set point slips enough, the default brain area in charge is no longer the sensible neocortical brain. It's no longer sensible, or the frontal cortex. I'm not going to go into all the scientifics on that because I don't know them, which integrates the emotions and thoughts, and it finds the wise compromises and the win-wins. Instead, the emotional brain that houses the stress center, the amygdala, it takes control, signaling the emotional shutdowns and overreactions. The shared stress load of our modern life may be moving us collectively into the age of emotional brain when our normal set point activates physiological stress overload. So when we think our world is going crazy, hello, I think we found the reason, right? We have been under rapid fire extreme uncertainty, and a lot of people's brains are basically shutting down to this. Are you one of them? Are you close to that? Do you need a checkpoint? So yes, I promised you I would depress you turbulently, much like our article, right? In our show for this week. But when we come back on Life Planning 101, we're going to talk about reversing that, finding peace so you can live life on purpose. You're not going to want to miss it right here. Welcome back to Life Planning 101. My name is Angela Robinson with Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services. And if you missed the first segment of our show, we're talking about finding peace in turbulent times. And I would recommend that you go back and listen to it. If you don't get a chance to do that, you can always go to our website. We have an article that we coined. I did coin an article to go with the show this week. It is corresponding. Make sure you sign up for our weekly life newsletter. And it's www.kennedy-financial.com. There's also a lot of other great stuff that we put on there. Black and White Market Chatter. Aaron, our investment team, he's bringing on special guests, or he himself, kind of give a market update and what's going on each and every week, which is great. We coined this article. We've got our tools in there, everything. It's a really good resource, so I recommend it. But at the first of the podcast, I read this excerpt that was talking about chronic stress and what it does to the brain. And you get to a place that you can't be wise. you start acting emotionally all the time. And, I would be, it's an interesting thing. I think this was written back in 2019. And here we went through 2020 and COVID. And yes, we have had rapid fire change, as it states in the article, and extreme uncertainty. And I think our entire world is a victim of now making more emotional decisions than wise and so-called sensible decisions, right? So, how do you reverse this? Because we're living in these interesting times. We're living in this time when there is no doubt there's so much stress out there, and it's easy to get distracted by the noise. Well, my mom sent over this devotion this week, and she had given it to my dad, and he said, "Oh, send that to Angela. She can do something with that on the show." And yes, I could. And it was really good. And I thought this was so appropriate to share, especially the fact that this being Holy Week. And for a lot of people, this is a great time to do some reflection. You know, a lot of people save that all for the end of the year, and then the end of the year gets so busy, and then they try to do it at the beginning of the year and it doesn't happen. What about now? What about slowing down a little bit over this next week and really doing this reflecting? We're going to help you do it. We're going to give you some ideas on finding some peace during these turbulent times. So I want to share the story or a piece of it. So in essence, the story was about a mother, and she's on this boat with several other passengers, and they're actually hopping islands in between the Hawaiian Islands. And the water was getting really rough. And by the way, I can relate to this because I have been seasick so many times. But the water was getting really rough, so you know where this is going. And the captain came over the loudspeaker, and he told everybody, he said, "Get on deck, and I want you to keep your eye on the horizon to avoid getting sick." Well, you can guess how many people listened. Of course, not very many. Most of them stayed below deck or laid down, and consequently, they were ill-fated for their lack of listening, lack of obedience, right? So the devotion that this lady wrote about was about ignoring our captain in life, God, and how many times that she herself was guilty of this. But that's not the lesson that I want to pull out of this story for today. The lesson I want to pull out of this story for today is about the horizon. Because our water in life gets rough from time to time. And sometimes it stays rough for prolonged periods of time. Sometimes it's been rough for prolonged periods of time and it's just calming down. Sometimes we can see the rough ahead of us and we know we've got to go into it. Well, when we take our eyes off of the horizon during any of those times, we suffer. And I don't know if you've experienced being seasick. I don't recommend it if you have. It's really horrible. And if they tell you ginger works, it really didn't work for me. About the only thing that works is Dramamine, and then of course I'm tired. But it is true about the horizon, because I had someone tell me one time, and said, if you keep your eye on the shore, as long as you can see the shore as far as we can go out, you won't be seasick the rest of the day. And I did that when we went out one day, and we hit, a storm coming back, and the water was horrible, and people were sick. It didn't bother me one bit. But I've been on a few boats, not just one, where I have been miserable. And the only moment that I got better was when my feet hit dry land. Right? So I want you to think about that. If you take your eyes off of the horizon when the water is choppy in life, when are you going to recover? Whew. That's tough, right? There's no doubt we live in interesting times. And the water around us is all turbulent. And do I mean all turbulent? So I want to encourage you to ask yourself a question so you can find peace. When we come back on Life Planning 101, I'm going to share what that question is, and I'm going to give you tools to answer it. Welcome back to Life Planning 101. My name is Angela Robinson with Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services, and we are talking about living life on purpose during turbulent times, or otherwise known as having peace during turbulent times. And we are certainly having some turbulent times as a world today, and we have been. And I found this incredible article that was actually written back in 2019. It was a study of prolonged stress and how it just starts to cause chaos in your life, and you can't think rationally. You start to think emotionally, and you really look at our world today and you realize that's pretty much what everybody's been going through, and that's where we're at today, is in a world of chaos. So what do you do? And gave you a story in the last segment about keeping your eye on the horizon so you don't get seasick, right? And that's really the answer, is the horizon. So there's no doubt we're living in these times the choppy waters all around us, ask yourself, what is your horizon? What is it that you need to keep your eyes on? And you may know this well. You may have it down pat, and none of this affects you. And you may not. And you may get off course only from time to time. So maybe this is just a reminder, right? But you also may need to figure this out. You may not know what your horizon is. You may not know what it is that you need to keep your eyes on so you don't get seasick and you don't go down those rabbit holes. So how do you do that? Well, I promised you I'd give you some tools. And by the way, I still want you to go to our website, www.kennedy-financial.com, especially for this part. It's in the article. Download it so that way you can see it, use it, write on it, do whatever. But here's some ways to think about that. Think about your horizon. And again, I encourage you to take some time out through this holiday and really focus on some of this inner reflection. So here's one way to do it. And I just know my mom she does all the editing. I know when she gets this, she's going to love that I put this in here. She hates it. But you can write your own eulogy. Ooh, yes. Depressing, but really not, because how do you want to be remembered? What's important to you? You could, as a second option, ask your older self, maybe it's you at 90, you at 85, whatever it is, you're sitting in your favorite place in the world to sit and look out. And you're looking back at your life. And you're reflecting on it. What were you most proud of? Another idea? Think about what your grandkids or community will say about you when you're gone. What do you want them to say about you when you're gone? Ask yourself what you don't want to regret in life. Maybe you're sitting under that same tree at that same age and looking out, and you look back at your life and say, man, I regret that I didn't. What is that? What is that thing that you don't want to regret, or things that you don't want to regret? Years ago, we wrote an article called Unacceptable Regrets. I'm sure you can still pull it up on our website. We've got our whole library there. I encourage you to do it. Read it. It's a really good one. Good lead in. In fact, maybe I can get Chris to put up a link in the article this week to get to that other article, because it is so good. And by the way, just appreciate Chris and all he does to help get this going each and every week. And the reason we do this is truly because it's a love labor. We want to help people live life on purpose, and he's an intricate part of that to be able to get this out there to the world. So appreciate that. But back to our, what is your horizon? Here's another idea. What if you're at those pearly gates? Peter lets you through and you hear your Lord saying, well done, good and faithful servant. What did that mean? Yes, the truth is that we do live in interesting times. But it's also true that no one can bring you peace but yourself. Yes, obviously, if you are a man or a woman of faith, then you dang right know that peace is only found in your relationship with the Lord. There's no doubt about that. But it's your decision. It's your free will. So the goal is that you find your horizon, not anyone else's. You find your horizon, and that you don't lose sight of it. That's how you live life on purpose, no matter the times. So with that being said, I want to end on a happy note, because this was some pretty deep stuff today, and we can't deny the fact that it is Easter week. So I thought I would give you a little story about the Easter Bunny. Did you know that there was a man driving along a highway and he saw the Easter Bunny hopping in the middle of the road? Well, one of the eggs dropped out of the basket, and the Easter Bunny went back just as the man was slamming on the brakes, and this car slid. Well, it struck the Easter Bunny. All of the eggs, candy, everything went flying everywhere, of course. The rabbit, to his dismay, was not breathing. He was on the road, looked dead as a doornail, and here it was right before Easter. The man kind of panicked. He thinks, oh my goodness, I couldn't have done anything worse, especially around Easter, but kill the Easter Bunny. All these kids, all these children, they're going to be so disappointed. Well, there's this woman that saw the whole thing happen. She gets out of her car, runs over, see what happened, ran back to her car, and she grabs a spray can. She comes back, she starts spraying the bunny, and within moments, the rabbit gets up and he starts bouncing and hopping, looking back, kind of shaking his head, bouncing, hopping, looking back, gathering up all his eggs, and he's back at it, no problem. And so the man said, "What did you do? How did you do that? What did you spray on him to make that work?" And the woman said, "Well, I grabbed my hairspray. It says it restores life to dead hair." And it adds a permanent wave. So there you go. There's the Easter Bunny story for you to share with your kids. That's the bad dad joke of the week. With that being said, we surely do appreciate each and every one of our Life Planning 101 listeners. We appreciate all the families that we get to serve. It is a blessing to get to be a blessing. It is a love labor. And we just ask, if you've ever got anything that you want us to cover on Life Planning 101, or if you have special guests that you think might be a benefit to our show, let us know, because this is all a show completely about being able to serve and helping people live life on purpose. And that's something slightly different for everyone. But if it fits the theme, we're all in. So just let us know with that. And be sure to visit us online at www.kennedy-financial.com. God bless everyone. Happy Easter. He is risen. Join us next week on Life Planning 101 right here.
Thank you for joining us for Life Planning 101, brought to you by Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services. If you have questions, you can email them to lifeplanning@kennedy-financial.com. Don't forget to learn how our sister company can assist you with all of your tax, bookkeeping, and consulting needs. You can find out more at briscoeandassociates.com. Be sure to tune in next week for more Life Planning 101. The opinions expressed herein are those of the firm and are subject to change without notice. The opinions referenced are as of the date of publication and are subject to change due to changes in the market or economic conditions and may not necessarily come to pass. Any opinions, projections, or forward-looking statements expressed herein are solely those of the author, may differ from the views or opinions expressed by other areas of the firm, and are only for general informational purposes as of the date indicated. Securities offered through Calton & Associates Incorporated, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Smart Money Group LLC. Kennedy Financial Services and Smart Money Group LLC are separate entities and are not owned or controlled by Calton & Associates Incorporated.